Good morning, guys. Trooper Steve here on this gloomy President's Day, Monday, holiday for everybody else, but your News 6 team is still here with you. And today we're going to be talking about, the usefulness of having an aftermarket in-car camera. Ever since joining the news world, I've quickly realized how significant it is having a camera or what I like to call a third-party witness with you all the time. If you think about that, right? That witness is unbiased. We preach on how we want body cameras on law enforcement officers because it provides a perspective of complete unbias, not in a positive or negative light, but just a third person in the room that literally witnesses everything. And that's similar to having a third person in your car with you, or a secondary witness with you all the time. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on this rainy day. So if it is raining outside, got to make sure you have your headlights on. Make sure you manually turn them on, even though Results One has live automatic stuff. I always make sure I'm manually turned on. Even occasionally, if you've got to turn the wipers on, that should be a sign that, hey, I should need to make sure I have my headlights on. And part of the reason is some people are like, Steve, why do we have that? Why do we do that? Well, it's not for you to see. It's for you to be seen. Okay? So that's why we have it. Because obviously, it's clear. I could see out here, no problem. I can see a mile away. But pedestrians, things like that, your cars can blend in, believe it or not. So we want you to have those headlights on, and that's why. The headlight stuff. What an amazing weekend. Before we get to the topic of what we're talking about today, all last week, all I spoke about was the 12th annual Concerns of Police Survivors Blue Light Gala. The only word I have is amazing. We were able to, and it's the one event each year that I fully dedicate my time to. And what do I mean by that? We host a lot of things, we as the individual, your talent team, but I host a lot of stuff. And usually it's wham, bam, and done. You show up, prep your scripts, talk with the staff, and you do your job and you're out. But you guys know, I'm a law enforcement officer, so unfortunately I have known and we're friends and we're co-workers with some of the people we honor each and every year because, hey, that's why we have this relationship, right? Because this is home. You guys knew me before I joined News 6, and then, hey, now we're just an official team now. But over the weekend, Friday night, we had the private meet and greet with family members, people who have lost loved ones, co-workers, and it was a private dinner. We all gathered around. We honored each other. We were able to say our fallen's names out loud and talk about their stories, and it was a really good time. And then the next morning, a nice little breakfast, and then Saturday night, the 12th annual Blue Light Gala. Our keynote law enforcement speaker was Sheriff Dennis Lima, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office. And not to get into politics at all, but you want to talk about a squared away law enforcement executive? I have opinions about everything in the world, and I have no problem offering them. But I tell you, Sheriff Lima, really, they go out of their way in Seminole County. And just a really amazing message about constant verbiage, constantly remembering. And it was really nice. We had motivational speaker, Mr. Paul Butler. Woo! Raised in South Carolina, and I tell you, you would know in a heartbeat. So really was an amazing time. Really get to speak with the national board and get to see and raise funds for just the year events that we get to put on for the family, and it was really good, and I really appreciate them letting me be such a big part of that. So here's we're gonna get on to our topic a little bit. It's a holiday, so I won't talk about too much I-4 here at Lee Road, but my gosh, what a mess on a regular basis. And one of the worst intersections in Central Florida. I was just speaking with my webmaster. That's his title. That's your new title. Donovan, who's our News 6 Plus really guru producer and who's currently at the helms of all the graphics you're seeing right now. And we were talking about this intersection right before I left, and we do need to come out and revisit it just because it's a mess. But he was telling me that the engineering, he's noticed that they've gotten a little bit better. They've done some things with the timing and the lights, because On a normal day, you come out here at this time, this light turns green right now, and we'd sit here for maybe another 15, 20 seconds because traffic within that intersection would be piled and piled up. But this morning, being a holiday, not as many cars out on the road, so we're not seeing that buildup, which is really nice. But it is, ooh, someone is. Ooh. Someone's partaking in some extreme recreational activity. I'm in my car. But, woo, might be the car in front of me. Lord, that is considered DUI, by the way. DUI is driving under the influence of XYZ. All right? Ooh, that just made me upset. Anyways, and we were talking about that intersection, and it is driver error driven, but you can tell the traffic engineers out there are doing everything they can to really make sure everything's good. So if you're joining us this morning, I just spent solid 8 minutes not on the topic, but we got to catch up. It's Monday, right? If you're joining on me this morning, first, good morning. Thank you. I'm Trooper Steve, your traffic safety expert here at WKMG News 6, and we're talking about cameras in your car. Heck, I've got them all over this thing. You're watching with me right now on one of many that are in Results 1. But we're talking about the importance of them and if you should or should not get one. So this is the only time I'm going to say this. This is not a sponsor for any brand of camera at all whatsoever. I'm also not telling you that it is required to have a camera in your vehicle. Okay? Now we're going to switch hats and we're going to turn back over to Trooper Steve and the opinionated world that he lives in. Here we go. So, having a camera in your vehicle does allow for almost a sense of safety for if and when something was to happen. Okay? So, when it comes to investigating crashes, let's start super simple. Two party involved, two simple crashes, right? We're driving out here along I-4, and I'm a normal driving citizen, you're a normal driving citizen, and say I'm out here and I'm getting ready to pass this white transit vehicle off to the right, kind of utility vehicle, cargo, whatever it is. It's super tiny, and I deck it out to maybe make a house for my dogs to drive around in. Anyway, say if I was here and all of a sudden this car decided to come on over. That could be a problem. And if it struck me as we were passing it, who else is here to witness that? Just me and that driver. Now, I would hope that that driver would be a law-abiding citizen like we are and going about our route. So we pull over. We wait for the Florida Highway Patrol to come out and investigate our crash. After discussing, he knows he's switched over, I know he's switched over, he messed up. But then, during the course of the crash investigation, the trooper or the police officer comes up to you and is like, hey, that guy said you switched lanes. Did you switch lanes? No, I didn't switch lanes. And it's a he said, she said battle. Why? Why? Because the trooper did, or the law enforcement officer did not physically witness the crash. So, let's pretend you didn't have the camera. What would happen from there? Well, what would happen is, I would hope that the law enforcement officer would do some level of crash investigation in order to determine how serious or who's lying here. Because as a crash investigator, I can tell you straight up, there's been times people have tried to lie, and I'm looking at them just flat out like, what you're saying is physically not possible. And you look at them and go, look, where you're telling me technically the damage would be here. And that's all. It's crash investigation to a lot of cops is scary, but it's just learning a different trade. So an investigator can go, okay, I hear you, and then type up in an investigative narrative saying, when I arrived on scene, this is where this vehicle was, this is what this vehicle was, this is what these drivers said. But going that extra mile to say, but based off of my training and experience, this doesn't look appropriate. Okay, now whose decision are you leaving this in to decide? You're leaving it in your insurance companies. Florida has met their level of requirement for investigating that crash. But when you have cameras on your vehicle that are constantly recording, there is nothing to say that, okay, you've been in a crash, you showed up, you pulled over, the law enforcement showed up. You can show that law enforcement officer exactly what took place in your vehicle. If I had a crash occur right here on I-4 here at 434 suddenly in front of me, you best believe I would pull over and wait, or at least submit that footage to the law enforcement investigating agency so that they could have proof of exactly what happened by an independent, unbiased, third-party witness. The camera being that third-party witness. So we've talked now how that could help you in a crash. So there's levels to this. So a question was also presented: what happens if I'm out here driving around, just cruising along, front camera, back camera, just driving, right? And I want to submit reckless drivers to law enforcement so that they can target them. Okay. Similar to what we do on What the Honk, right? We have the What the Honk segment, airs Fridays now in the 4 p.m. hour and online at clickorlando.com, and it's where you guys send me stuff that you see. Can I take action on infractions that you catch on camera? Simple traffic infractions? No, cannot. So if we're out here and this car, this Honda coming up behind me, say I assumed it was speeding. So let's pretend it was reckless and it was flying by me right now. Could I submit that to an FHP trooper and say, hey, I have their footage of them driving crazy. I even have their license plate because it's on camera here. Can I send that to you? No, because no enforcement action can be taken on basic civil infractions of traffic unless observed by a law enforcement officer. Okay? That's not to say that if you witness a crime, so now we're entering to that third level up, that you can't use that footage. I hope I'm making some sense here. So if we're out here driving and say this red Mustang and this Subaru got into it, and I witnessed the Subaru throw something at another vehicle, which is now we're leaving the traffic world and we're entering into misdemeanor and felony level crimes, I could use that video to submit to law enforcement officers because a actual higher level crime was committed that would not need to be witnessed by a law enforcement officer. But having the cameras, guys, I tell you, just the other day, I think I had posted about it or spoke about it a little bit. I was out cruising along 408, just doing my thing, and all of a sudden this vehicle comes flying over at me in the right travel lane and pushes me over into the shoulder. Pushing me, obviously I'm moving because I didn't want to be involved in a crash. My cameras are rolling. I'm not scared. I'm not doing anything wrong. I know that they don't know I've got cameras. So I'm just going to do what I do every day. I'm going to drive politely. I'm going to stay in my lanes. I'm going to use my turning signal, but I'm not going to let a jerk be a jerk. So you're not going to scare me or intimidate me to leave the roadway. And I don't think they were doing it intentionally, but I do think they were careless about it. So this is what happened. I'm cruising, whatever, we're out here, and after they decided to push me out of the way, I moved, I honked my horn, and I held my ground. I stayed in my lane, they had to readjust, and I kept doing my thing, or so I thought. So as I was cruising along 408 the other day, they kept following me. So I kept adjusting my cameras. Now, not everyone has the camera setup we do. I have a hands-free setup to where I can use buttons to kind of move things all while keeping on the steering wheel, which is really nice. This Corolla's not letting me get over. I appreciate you because she's... I don't know if that's... Can we get that on camera? She's knitting. Literally knitting in her car right now. Hold on. Oh, hold on. No way. No. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Take a good look, guys. She's got 2 phones up, watching YouTube, and she is knitting in her car, literally weaving a some type of hat or something with no hands on the steering wheel. Live on News 6 Plus, clickorlando.com and the News 6 app. And now speed up. And then Friday, she's going to be on What the Honk. Oh, Florida tag. Oh, I was about to say it out loud. I know my producer Donovan's laughing right now because I'm switching into trooper mode. Okay. All right. It's about that time. Here we go. So, back on track. See what cameras can do, though. So, imagine if she just crashed. And then she wants to blame other drivers. Hold on. Hold on, girl. Quarter mile before you crashed, you're mitting your dog a sweater with both hands and a YouTube video playing. I can't make this up. I love this thing. Oh, gotta love Gibson Truck World and WKMG News 6 coming together to show you guys what the heck is going on our roads. But it just also goes and shows the importance of, wrong camera, of the importance of if you choose to have a camera. Now, if you choose to buy a camera, it is totally up to you. In today's world, there is a plethora of options that you can purchase to put in your vehicle. From $20 cameras to a couple of $100 cameras, to manual sensing to automatic sensing, to app controlled to just plug and play kind of thing. So if the idea of having a camera in your vehicle is interesting to you, don't be scared about it. Whether you're a teenager, you're a middle-aged individual, or you're an experienced older driver and technology's not your thing, there are so many different options. My producer Donovan and I have spoken so many times about how having a camera in your car can really decrease the liability to what's going on with insurance or a crash. And then you think about now, a lot of the electric cars that are coming out, standard, absolute standard that they have these cameras in their vehicles. So obviously this truck equipped with a whole bunch of them. So guys, listen, we're gonna get ready to wrap this up here. Nice stream talking about just a good catch up with you guys and the importance of technology. And we got to show you a little bit of what having a camera would have on your vehicle. So what did we talk about today? We recapped a few things. One, what I think about having a camera in your vehicle, how it can protect you in a crash type situation because it's the unbiased witness. You cannot use it to submit traffic violations to law enforcement in order for them to write tickets. However, if a crime of misdemeanor or felony level or anything above traffic was witnessed by your camera, you could submit that to law enforcement as evidence to really help out other people. If there was a DUI or an assault or some type of battery took place out of the roadway, you know, your camera may catch that. So, am I pro cameras in vehicles? The answer, yes. Super pro. And that's both coming as a news guy and as a career law enforcement officer. I think they're there way more to help you than to hinder you. Same as my opinion for law enforcement body cameras. Heck, I think there's some customer service agents that could probably use some body cameras like at TSA or some of our airline people could probably use the body cameras to help them out. So guys, I appreciate you on this President's Day. Thanks for letting me vent or just air about my amazing weekend with you guys. Super rainy today, so please be careful while you are out on the roads. Doubleheader today in Daytona for 2 different races, the Xfinity and the Daytona 500 this afternoon. But of course, just make sure you guys play it safe. I'll be back with you tomorrow with the rest of the team. Always wear your seatbelt. I'm Trooper Steve.